And we're going to give you a little rundown on this little stove. And we come over here and we fired it up about an hour ago. And trust me, I had plenty of logs I put in it. I could have had it loaded a little bit lighter, but anyway, she's really got this warmed up good. But anyway, here's our little understanding of this little thing. Okay, telling you a little bit about the little stove. Okay, it's built, I think 3/8 plate is on the top. And it's like a quarter of a pie. And then it has a piece of 3/8 plate on the bottom. This area here, this is quite hot. But down to the touch, you can grab a hold of any of this, and you can hang on to any of this, and any of this around here. And we got a tin baffle plate back here, tin baffle plate over here, and that, and then of course that's the outdoors. But you can touch the stove down underneath because the air goes through here underneath the stove, and we got a whole bunch of little holes here in the back, and a whole bunch of little holes over here, and the air can come up through there and actually go around the stove and disperse its heat. Now to fire the guy up, which you just take this and you open it up, and Betty can show you where the little fire is burning in there. Okay, and then when you get him going pretty good, we set our little draft. Oh, I would say probably, I got these little locks on here because the reason I put those locks down here, we travel around with it sometimes and we leave the stove burn. So then that way when you get there, you don't have to worry about the shifting your draft or changing. And then this here's your little top draft. If you notice on the outside, it has an upper draft and a bottom draft. Okay, and then you want to clean your bottom draft out really good in the fall. And then you start and you run it on the top draft. And then when you get it going good, then you shove her over to the bottom draft. And that's pretty much the way all this stuff kind of works around here. And this here, we put metal up here in the back. So there's, I mean, this is actually cool back here. If it was burning for 2 hours, this would be warmed up just from the heat in the room. And then this down in here, this is all cold down here. You can, all this to touch down here, you can hang on to any of this stuff. But you don't dare hang on to this part here. You can put your skillets right on there and cook. And we generally got our little skillets hooked up here, but Betty snuck them in the house. She was tidying them all up. And I think she's using them in the kitchen a little bit. But anyway, we got to slip them back over here for our little stove. But that's basically how the stove works. And it was designed off of a half circle. And it's a quarter of a pie of a stove. Now, let's say you want the stove to go outdoors, and you're getting too hot in here. Or sometimes when I'm starting it up and it's really cold, like 0 out, and you know the iron's all cold, it's been cold here for a couple weeks, and you want to get it warmed up a little bit. So sometimes what I do is I do take this thing here and I do fire him. Whoop, I gotta have my little upper clip up here. I do fire him up and I send him outdoors to get fired up good, and that way, if you know, it does a little poofing or back smoking, because the chimney pipe is steel, stove steel, so damn hot until it kind of gets warmed up. And then when he gets warmed up good, then I just bring him back in. Yep. And then Betty, she can do a little bit of filming. She can show you what that kind of looks like when we send him outdoors a little bit there. Okay, now this right here, this runs our little top draft up here. Okay, and you can probably set him about there, but I just leave him there. And then this here section of the stove down here, that's where your bottom draft works. And this little section here that goes down into the firebox, that goes up in the pipe, that's your upper draft. And then if you're kind of out in the mountain range, where kind of the air is a little more heavier, high altitude, you may want to put a little shield around this, so that way it won't get so cold and it'll draw better, and the stove will function good. But down here, it works good like this. I was always going to put a little bit of a shield around here, so then the cold wouldn't just hit that direct in the pipe and stay better. But she's pretty warm. You can hang on to it about up here. Yeah. But if that had a little bit of a shield on it, it would really stay warm and really draw good. Okay, well anyway, that's kind of how that little guy works there. And then if you see the stove work, when we take it in and out, see the whole stove rotates out in its little half circle. Chimney goes back. It's all hooked together. Really a simple setup. And then it just rotates back in, and you got him back indoors. Oh, that feels nice and warm, Betty. So if you're getting cooled off, you can come back in quick. Good. Now I got to show you what's interesting. Betty's going to take a little viewing of our firewood supply. Okay, and I just crushed a bunch of that up with my old wood splitter, chopped it up. There's enough wood there that'll probably heat this thing for, I would say, almost a month. It don't take much wood. It takes just a little bit of wood. And anyway, and the temperature in here, I would guess it where our feet's at is probably about in the 40s and 50s. And boy, up here, I mean, it's getting pretty warm up here. But the stove, he's getting settled down now. We ain't belching out so much heat. And he's just getting about perfect to cook on. You know, if you want to cook on this dat sucker, we've cooked some really good meals out here on that. And sometimes we take it in and clean this all out. We put our little food supply down in there. And then that tin is to the outside. And it's kind of damn near like a Frigidaire. And this other one to keep our plates and that stuff in there. So anyway, that's kind of a little bit of the information you want to know about the little wood stove and kind of how it's all built. See, it's all custom built to rotate outdoors as a half circle and to rotate back in. The whole thing only moves a quarter of a circle because the other part's outdoors and this quarter is indoors. So when it goes out, it's just kind of like a big half swinging in and out. And that beat the hell out of trying to cobble up one of them drag out stoves and have a pipe hanging, damn thing falling off. This is really secured, got big heavy pins we put in it for it to rotate on. And that's the best I can tell you about this unless you want to come and help cook. Out. And we thought maybe we'd give you a real quick little safety clip. I hope somebody don't try to build a stove that don't know what they're doing. So to give them some general ideas, the way this is built, okay, it's got at least from here up to here about 16 inches. Everything is metal. There's no wood or nothing around that. And from here up to here, it's probably like about 15 inches of metal. And then from down here in the bottom, this stove doesn't go up against this tin. It's got an air vent that can go up through there and keep the heat away from it, because you can actually feel heat coming out up here, plus the little heat that's coming out over here. And then on the stove, there's no styrofoam here. That's just paint. That's steel. Around the door latches and stuff, this is all steel. Down below is all steel down there. And of course, this is all steel down in here. So you definitely want to have safety in mind when you're building the stove so you don't get your little fort on fire. And so far, this has proved to be perfect. And trust me, I overfired it and it's it warm in here. Whew. What do you think, Betty?
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, well, you don't need a lot of fire. Now, we'll show you what we mean by you don't need a lot of fire. I mean, this little guy here, well, he does get, now that handle will get a little warm. Especially if you leave it lay back against the stove. So, I'm going to come over here and show you what we got in there for a fire. So you can take a little clip and just them coals in there burning. Boy, I'm telling you what, they're pumping out a lot of heat, and if you wanted to cook, you got a good hour of cooking on there if you want to. Because that thing will hold them coals for, I'd say, at least about an hour. And then this here, we shut this all the way up over to here to this click here. Now it's getting a little bit of vent from here. And that's all you need. And this should really be stationed out. But I don't know why we got a tendency to always put it in, but we do. So anyway, we figured we'd give you a little bit of safety view of building this stuff and how you want metal around it. Because on the back here, we got Betty's bird seed. That sack is plumb cold. And behind it, that's cold. This is cold. Everything. Well, the wall's kind of warming up a little bit from being so damn cold outside. But you got to remember, this thing didn't have any heat in it for probably 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I don't know when we fired the stove up last. It's been quite a while. But anyway, she's working good. You got to remember, your top draft, you got to have your bottom draft, which is natural. But you want to make sure you got a good top draft on that. Right now, the top draft is closed. It's feeding out through the bottom and it's burning slow. Hey, we're getting ready to exit. And as we exit, I'm just going to let you know one little thing. I've had this camper for probably 20, 25 years, maybe, well, we don't know. Ben's going to look up a picture and see if she can find it, because I'm thinking it was built in about maybe, I don't know, in the late 90s. So we're about 23, 24 years old. It's set outside all the time. Set in old shed there for a while and stuff, and it's had a bunch of stuff piled around it, but never once yet has there ever a mouse been able to get in here. It's just been mouse free for 25 years. Neat little hut. That's why we store Betty's little, she's got some of her bird feed in here. And trust me, there's nothing's got into it. So we just thought to let you know that, just let you know that stove is really nice and comfortable. So we'll catch you later on the trail and bring your skillet. Amen.